first known rules of golf were drawn up in 1744 by the Gentlemen Golfers of Edinburgh in Leith, Scotland. Since then the game has changed dramatically. Golf courses, equipment, and not least the rules. So where do I go when I want to learn about the rules of the game today? Well, I go to the Golf Rules Questions podcast with Blakey and Roscoe, of course. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Golf Rules Questions podcast.
Well, welcome everyone to episode 49 of the GRQ podcast. And I'd like to welcome another rules referee to this week's podcast. Just like last week, we had Fraser Nicol on the show, which was fantastic. This week's guest is all the way from the Northern Hemisphere, although across the pond, Mr. Gerry Bower from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Not Quebec, as Fraser stated. So a passionate rules comrade and official in regional, amateur and professional tournaments. Welcome, Gerry.
Thanks a lot, Blakey. It's going to be fun to be on here, and been listening to all your podcasts from day one.
Yeah, yes, you have. Yes, you have. And we'll get into that in a second because you got me on as a guest on one of your podcasts. So we'll talk about that in a second. Most importantly, let us get through the, I think it's the second most intriguing, or the second, the segment that people like the most, or the comes runner-up. It's the actual answer for the GRQOTW. So for episode 48, which Fraser read out, Fraz and... No, what do you say? It's not Fraz. I say Fraz. He says Fraz. No, I say Fraz and he says Fraz. That's right. Fraz and Blakey are playing against each other in match play. Fraz steps up on the 18th tee, all pumped, as he's won the last 4 holes to get back to all square. Highly doubtful, Fraser. And in his excitement, plays from the wrong teeing area. His ball goes dangerously close to out of bounds. So Blakey does not recall the stroke. Fraz now realizes he has played from the wrong teeing area and declares he will play a provisional ball. How should Fraz proceed? Well, rule 14.6b, Fraz may play a provisional ball, but 14.6b, he didn't play his original from within the teeing area, so he isn't permitted to go back to the teeing area. If you'd hit it out of bounds, it's exactly the same. So you go back to your last place played, your original spot, and that is just outside the teeing area or the wrong teeing area. He has to drop it because a wrong teeing area effectively isn't a teeing area and it is general area. I hope I haven't muddied the water on that one too much, but basically there's only one teeing area for the hole that you're playing. It's from the front of the tee markers, 2 club lengths in depth. The width is defined by the outside of the tee markers. If you tee off from outside that, obviously in a stroke play event, that is the only way to start play of the hole. So you have to correct your mistake and take 2-shot penalty. But in match play, you can actually get away with starting a hole outside of a teeing area, and then it's up to your opponent as to whether they recall the stroke or not. In this case, I didn't recall Fraz's stroke because it was horrible towards the out of bounds, and he thought he should play a provisional ball just in case he gets down there and it's out of bounds. So where does he play the provisional from? In the general area. He drops it within 1 club length of where he originally played from, no nearer the hole, and potentially he's 3 off the tee. So he will really be keen. Can't say really enough, Gerry. He will be very keen to find that original ball. Yeah, so that is the answer, because he didn't start play the hole from within the teeing area. So, Gerry, welcome again. What is the time where you are right now?
Well, it's a little early. It's 6:30 a.m. where I am, and
6:30.
had my breakfast, been up for a while, and off and heading to the golf course by now.
And what time does the sun rise at the moment there?
Oh boy, probably, I don't know what time it's supposed to come up, but about 7:15.
Okay,
So
pretty good.
another half hour, 45 minutes, it'll be up just enough. As long as I can see the ball off the tee, I'm ready to go.
So at the moment, you're 15 hours behind. So it's your 6:30. It's my 9:30 p.m. Last week it was actually only 14 hours. Our
Oh,
daylight saving just kicked in, and your daylight saving kicks in at the end of this month, I believe.
yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure.
Something like that. So thank you very much for joining me so early on. Let's start at the start. Can you explain how you got in, or what you sort of do in a rules capacity, apart from being an excellent conduit for many of your fellow referees around Canada, but what you actually do, and how did you get into the rules of golf and refereeing?
Well, thanks. I got into the rules, I guess. I've been officiating now, I think this is 16 years. And I got into it. I was a club captain at our golf course, and we'd have some club competitions going on, and especially the match play that they had at the club. And a couple of guys started coming in, and they said, Gerry, I think so-and-so screwed me out there, and lost the match to him, but I think he's the A player and I'm the C player. And, I think he was taking me for a ride. And I says, I don't know anything about the rules. So, I started looking into it. A buddy of mine that was a good competitive golfer, and he screwed me in a club competition. And we started reading. I bought a rule book and started reading and started telling, trying to help these people out. But there were a couple other guys in the club that were the rules guys that they didn't know the rules, but they thought they did. And I went on, and I'll be honest, when I get into something, I go full bore. And I started reading the rules, did the level 1 online pretty soon after. That was pretty easy. And then started studying for the level 2. They had 4 levels back then. And my buddy and I, we spent months reading the old decisions book. I think I read it 3 or 4 times, trying to learn the rules, and had arguments with some of these rules people at our club that knew the rules and had to prove to them that they were wrong. But then the people started believing myself, and I just got started out doing some tournaments. We have an organization here, Ottawa Valley Golf Association, that I started officiating or helping out there. They only had a couple of people doing rules, and they were pretty harsh on some of the players. I think their goal back then was, how many people can I penalize in a day, not how many people can I help. And I want to help. And my whole thing with the rules is to go out and help people learn them. If we can help them get out of a penalty, I'll do it. Sometimes it's impossible, but so I got the level 2, went on, did level 3, and the 4. Took a couple of years to get up there. And then I became the rules chair for our organization here. Did that for 6 years. Now they got me on as president of the organization, which ends in April. And I'm the rules chair for Golf Ontario, which, I get some calls every once in a while for that. And, it's just a lot of fun. The rules have become an addiction for me. I eat, sleep, drive off to a tournament with a friend. We went 7 hours up to tournament a few weeks ago, and you know, says, well, let's go over some questions. So she pulls up, some questions on the web driving up there and firing questions at me. So we're always at each other with questions. And, I look forward to your rules things, because what's going to come up and what interesting things when I'm watching TV and a situation comes up. I just pop up in my chair when there's a rule, when I see a referee come in, and it's just something I love doing, and love helping the players, helping the people.
That's fantastic. Those groups, those competitions that you started out with, Gerry, what level were they? Were they just individual best amateur in the region?
Yeah, they were the initial ones here that I was working. Our local, we'll run about 25 tournaments in our area from all kinds, juniors, the women's, they have a couple of team events. The men, there's A, B, C players in them. We have a match play event for the city. And so there's all different kinds of events and all levels. I mean, we've had, one that I remember very well was a little 10-year-old girl playing in one of the junior events that went out and whipped the butt off everybody. And now she's made over $8 million on tour, and lived about 45 minutes from us here. That's Brooke Henderson.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that one of the Henderson?
Yeah, Brooke. Well, I got to know Brooke and Brittany quite well, and watched them grow up. And she could hardly get her see over the top of her push cart. So it was kind of fun. And that's the level. I mean, the junior levels are the best, because you catch them early, you help teach them, and we're a little more lenient, I guess, if you want, and we're trying to help them out rather than trying to throw a penalty down, which you sure hate doing it at juniors.
It's that's a really good point, but it's very interesting on that point, because kids are so used to adults just telling them what to do, and they'll actually accept a penalty or a decision just verbatim as, well, this person's older than me, they must be right, so I'll just accept it. I've always found that kids, they're happy for you to help them. They're used to being talked to like that, told off, whatever, and so they'll accept it. Whereas you see, Brooke, recently Brooks Koepka with that ruling, and it's possibly it was a 50-50 call, possibly, and he's not happy about it, but that is the way the cookie crumbles, and you just got to accept it. And you'll find that kids are more likely to accept it because they just see that the adult is, and so you do, just like you said, you want to help them out, but it can be a little bit easier to deal with kids because they're just more accepting of the situation in front of them.
Yeah, the kids are usually pretty good. The thing that does spoil the fun out there sometimes is you're given a ruling, and sometimes the parents don't like what you've given. So
that's exactly right.
I mean, we've had, we'll get along with the kids, and I've seen the kids, Dad, just go, just get out of here, this type of thing. And
the old,
there are a lot of there's a lot of great parents that want to learn too, but you do get some, and that it was nice, really, really nice last year, because we had the parents, I guess, because anybody under 18 had to have a parent around, but they just last year, with the COVID, more strict COVID rules, they stayed away a little bit more, but but they're fun. I mean, they're great. They're great that they're getting their kids out there, getting them into the competitive golf, and the kids do want to learn the rules, but they want to hit the ball farther too.
Yeah, and they want to score, but they, they're more accepting of the penalty. Whereas, I find that adults just in general, take it as a pride, an ego thing. If I get a penalty, that's that you're saying something about my characteristic. Mate, you've done something. You take the penalty and you move on. But
that's the thing with some of the. Yeah, you've done the high level pro events. I've done some lower level pro events, and I find that some of them don't want to accept the ruling. I just got a call the other day, a couple of days ago, as a second opinion, because the gentleman doing the mini tour down south, one of the players didn't like a ruling he was given, which was a pretty simple one, and guess he had his phone on speakerphone, and as I was given my result, which I had no idea what had gone on, so he just asked me a question, and I gave him the answer, and I guess it satisfied them. But that's kind of fun too when you get those. You don't know what. I had no clue what's gone on. If you're at a tournament and you're called in as a second opinion, you know what the heck has happened by the time you get in there. But on this one, on a phone call, I had no idea.
That's a great call, because we did see that second opinion with Brooks.
With Koepka. Yeah.
Did you know that, like, was it the referee calling you, obviously?
Yeah.
Not the player.
No,
so the referee,
it was the referee.
You, and the player, and it's on speakerphone, is it?
I guess it must have been just the way the question went. And it was only like a 20-second call, because the answer, well, it was real quick. What it was they were on the fringe, and there was a ball mark in front of their ball, and they wanted to putt it, and they wanted to fix the ball mark. And the ball mark was not on the green. It was on the fringe also. So, you can't fix that unless it's somebody else's ball had come in after, or if you'd picked up the ball and were going to drop it somewhere, but it was just sitting there. And so anyway, that seemed to be the gist of the ruling. So
I love those. I got a lot of phone queries, and most of them were like, obviously your situation was live, but most of them were, by someone who'd feels they'd been hard done by. But you always, that after the competition's finished or whatever, you always know, like, you learnt there's always his side, her side, and the truth.
Oh yeah.
So you got to go back with the, from the facts that you've given me, from what you've told me, this is the ruling. But then you find out, like, I think I had a situation, and it was someone on Instagram. It was like a match play event, in our hometown. On Instagram, they asked me a question, and I was like, oh, okay, yep, no, this is the ruling. And then we get in on Monday, because it was like a pennant, something like that, and then that was on the Sunday night, and on the Monday we get an email, and it looks so familiar. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, that sounds like something that I've just, had a query about over the weekend. And sure enough, it was from, this side, this team, and then the other team, and their facts were not matching. So we had to go back to them and say, based on what you've given us, this is the ruling, but we've also had facts given it to us from the other party, and they don't match up. So you actually, the two of you, need to get together and work out what actually happened, and then we'll give you the real ruling.
That's a really, really hard one. And we had a situation similar a couple of years ago at junior boys championship, and we had one of the players, it wasn't the marker, called up and said, so-and-so, I don't think he had a par on that last hole. And so he says he played the ball this way, bang, 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 and he was a 5. And so we had to call up I was the rules chair for the tournament. We called up the tournament director, called up the marker and asked him if he could describe that last hole, because it hadn't happened very long before. They were quite close by, I guess. And he got it, and the player read back. He says, no, he had a 5. He went bang, 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 which was exactly the same way as the third player had said. So now we call up the player, and the player says, I don't remember how I played that hole. Well, unfortunately, the player ended up getting DQ'd because here were two players we were, we'd talked to that both had described the hole exactly the same way without being either knowing what had gone on. The one hadn't even looked at it. So trying to get all the information secondhand or after the situation is the hardest. And I had one where I screwed up because I got information one way and the other referee had gotten information a different way, had been there, and I didn't get it. I didn't get enough information. So sometimes it's really, really difficult. Those are the toughest ones.
Absolutely. The toughest thing about, the toughest thing about being a committee is trying to piece together, going out and giving a ruling on the spot is actually not.
I love it.
It's not actually as tough as people may think. Obviously you're on the spot, and they say refereeing is 95% boredom and 5% sheer terror. But the sheer terror is not when you aren't presented with the facts and it makes sense and all that. The sheer terror is when you're not presented with the facts and you have to sort of either find out more information or try and make a determination based on holes in the story. That's certainly the toughest, that and weather delays.
I hate weather delays. I've had 3 of them, I think, this year that we had. But going out, and when you go out and give a ruling, or when I do, I'd say probably 90% of the time, by the time I get into the player, stop my cart 20 or 30 yards away and walk over, and I'm looking at the situation. By the time you get in there, you pretty well know what they're after, what the ruling's probably going to be. Sure, you get some where you don't, and I've had some of those that have been weird, but it's you know what they're going to be. You see them standing by a cart path, and okay, got a cart path. I look at it, where's the ball? Okay, we're going to probably drop on that side, but we'll go through the procedure.
No, that's so true. And if they're calling you over, it's most likely that their marker didn't give them relief, so they're wanting you to do something about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And but the tournaments are fun to work, and like you said, there's a lot of boredom in there. And I remember one I did down at Mission Hills. I was doing and I see the ANA is moving out of there now, but in 2023.
Yeah, they got a new sponsor, Chevron.
I wasn't doing the ANA tournament. I was doing one the couple of weeks before that, and I had to officiate I had the whole back 9. They were doing a double T start for the mini tour that we were doing there, and I had 0. It's my first time to work at that tournament, that course. I had 0 rulings until the very last group on the back of the 18th green. There were no stands or anything there. So on the back of the 18th, I don't know if you've been there, but it's a little island, and the ball had gone in, and we couldn't mark because Q school was starting the week after. So they were painting, we couldn't paint. So we said we'd use the natural, drop off or margin, and the ball had gone over the green and into the pond. And she wanted to know where she had to drop. That was the only ruling I had the whole day, which, can be boring, but we're watching, we're timing, I enjoy watching good golf.
Yeah. That's a great point too. Timing. We're doing a lot of timing when we're refereeing, and it's so funny when not funny, but it's one of those black humor type situations, I guess, and that the players are looking at us going, why are you bothering timing us? We were just getting held up, and now we might be a hole, but it was because we looked for his ball for 5 minutes or whatever it is. Of course it's 3 minutes now. But so we were getting held up, and so that's all their excuses. And I'm looking at them going, look, I'm just doing my job. Like I would prefer if you were fast and I just could sit here and watch good golf. I don't want to be coming over here with a stopwatch going, yep, you're over time or whatever. I would absolutely just prefer to be watching you guys play, or girls play, good golf.
Yeah, with that, it got to the tour I was doing down south, the mini tour. All I'd have to do was drive by and look at my watch, just look at my stopwatch, and they'd yell out, we're trying to catch up. We're trying to catch up. But a lot of timing. And the last tournament big tournament I did for Golf Canada junior event, I was pace of play referee. So my whole job the whole week was the timing stuff. We had 4 stations doing a group pace of play, and everything was on the tablets. So that made it really, really nice. And I could look at that and say, okay, these guys, better keep an eye on them. They might be cutting it tight, but we only had to penalize one group over 3 days, which was pretty good.
That's so that's something that the USGA and a lot of the associations in the US do as well. The station timing, which we down here haven't cottoned on to, but that apparently works quite well, and everyone realizes when they're out of position. And
it cut our rounds down about a half an hour average.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which is good, and that started right off. All you got to do is penalize one group, and everybody hears about it. So it works really, really good.
And it's and the hardest thing about timing is trying to make it as black and white as possible. But if a group realizes that they're out of position, then they get the opportunity to make the time up, and if they don't make the time up, then it's black and white what the penalty situation is for them.
It's pretty straightforward, and the whole key is just keep the group in front of you in sight, and you'll never have a problem.
That's exactly right.
People say, well, I got nobody pushing us. Well, I'm not worried about the group behind you. I'm worried about you guys. And they'll our kids, the juniors, all the juniors now have played with this. So we've had it in effect for quite a number of years. And so they all know the procedure. And you just get some of them, and sometimes the coaching that they're getting is don't change your routine. But the pros, as you'll know, they have their regular routine, and then when they've been given a warning, they have their 40-second routine. And you see it, and players that get penalized don't have that 40-second routine.
That's so true. Like you'll know the players that will take their routine and they're playing 37 seconds, and they'll know they played a 37 seconds, whether they're slow or in a slow group or fast group. They'll always take about 37 seconds. And so what will actually happen, it's before they get to their ball, or it's after they get to their ball, they'll take their time getting to the next shot or whatever it is. And so they'll actually create a slow group but when they start getting put on the clock, they don't get penalized because they're 37 seconds. And you'll find that those people, they'll love that kind of pressure, and they'll actually, you know, have birdies and pars, and the other guys, girls that were, you know, suddenly feel like they're under pressure from the time. They'll go to water and they'll be pissed off at the end of it.
Yeah, I had one player, well, I've had more than one, tell me after we'd given them a warning and that we were going to time them, that their comment was, I didn't know I could play that good playing that much quicker.
Oh yes, I love that comment. I love it. I've had people on the clock before, and they've gone, you know, birdie, birdie, par, birdie, and they're like, stay with me, you're my lucky charm or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to stay here and just look at the clock every 25 seconds. Just hurry up, you know.
Yeah.
So do you
Anyway.
play much golf yourself, Gerry? Get out and play
I try to, but my game is right in the dumps these days. I played yesterday and playing tomorrow. I try to play about 5 days a week when I'm not officiating.
Yeah.
And my body, it's getting old. It needs a couple of days of rest a week. So today's my day, my normal day off. I don't play Wednesdays. Well, it's Thursday for you, is it? No,
Wednesday.
no, it's still Wednesday.
Wednesday
Yeah.
yeah.
But I usually don't play Wednesday, and Fridays I don't play, but you know, most of the other days I'll get in there and try to hack it around. So yeah, I'm not getting as many in right now as, well, I guess I am. I'm getting a lot of rounds in.
And
but
that's mainly stroke play, or you
yeah,
competitions going?
No, I don't play any competition at all. If I did, I'd be dead last. I'm not playing very good, and I did play a little bit in some of our organized stuff years ago and some club events, but the competition with golf was never a big thing for me. I just wanted to do it for some fun. I love the walking. I walk all our rounds. I get my steps in. Like our one course is probably about 15,000 steps for me in a round. So I need that to keep me going. So
does your better half, your wife, play as well?
No, she is totally non-athletic and doesn't know the head of a club from the shaft of a club. So,
so when
no, not at all.
So you get yourself down to Florida for Ottawa's winter, which is a good idea. Whereabouts do you reside down there, or do you sort of change it up?
No, I had been going. I couldn't go last year, and I don't know if I can go this year because they haven't got the Americans haven't opened up the border for us Canadians to go down there. So I'm hoping we could fly down, but I want to drive down. And I go down between St. Augustine and Daytona Beach. So LPGA International at Daytona Beach, I've officiated a number of the mini tours there. I just do this National Women's Golf Association. I've just gone in to volunteer, no money, just want the experience, and just started out there about 8 years ago, I guess, just asking if he needed some help, and I'd be willing. And another referee from here, she goes down there. Well, there's two more that go down into the Orlando area or close to Daytona Beach and help out with officiating. And it's good experience. I mean, working with pros is so different than working with amateurs, and people don't understand that it is. I mean, they're supposed to know the rules, supposed to. And, so you're not in helping them out quite as much, but you get to know after doing it so long, as you get to know the signals. If they stand there and go, I don't know, or all the players come together in a group, or they're looking and pointing, then you head over and but they don't want you in their face. And we had one referee that would occasionally get in the face of the players, and they told the tournament director, look, we don't really want, anytime we do something wrong, or we're looking at something, we don't want them. We'll let them know when we want them in there. And the pros are that way. We're amateurs a lot of times, and the juniors in particular don't often know what's going on. And at our level, with a lot of our tournaments, they're not high level tournament people in our local area. So, we'll try to help them.
Yeah. With the, that's a great point. With the pros, although, some of those mini tours, they would be quite competitive, I would imagine. So they, I find it quite interesting with some of the tours that I've been involved in that, the pros are friends, but they're also competitors, as in, if you let your friend away with something and they beat you by a shot and you miss the cut, and then, they keep their card and you lose your card. I wonder how forgiving or generous that person would be the next year. When it comes down to it, $10 is $10. And if someone gets to keep their card for $10, for the $10 more that they made during the year, that person thinks back and goes, oh, there was that drop that I gave him for that, what I thought was GUR. Was it really GUR?
Yeah.
So I would assume that those mini tours would be quite competitive with that. So the markers, one day tournaments, the markers wouldn't be that generous with letting the player get away with anything.
Yeah, and most of these mini tour events were 3-day events. So
3 days,
if they're playing with
a cut.
He went with a cut for a few years, but then he didn't have a cut after. The last couple of years he didn't have a cut. So and we weren't getting, with the ladies, we'd get 40, 50 players. So it wasn't too bad. But if you're up, he'd have some events. If he had a lot of players, he'd have a cut after the second day.
Is that a pay to play, Gerry?
Yeah, they pay what the players pay.
Yeah, who puts up the prize money?
Yeah, the players. It's they'll pay a pretty good fee to get into the event, and then they get some prize money. He just finished one yesterday in South Carolina, I think it was. Yep. And it had I think the winner, she got 10 grand for that one. Now that was put up by, they had a sponsor for that one. So but that was a pretty good one. But most of ours are a lot less money than that. So pretty tough go for these mini tours.
And do you see
for the players?
Have you, like, the talent is? Have you seen many go on to bigger and better things?
Well, I mean, this past year in that, yeah, I mean, well, Brooke played in it. Brooke and Brittany Henderson both played in the tour. Annie Park, I think, that won an event. A great little spark plug that was on the Solheim Cup. Megan Kang played in it when she was getting started as a pro. There's quite a number of them. So it's been fun. And I watch women's golf more than the men's golf. And not just because they're better looking, but because I can relate to their swings. And I've seen some of these players come up and want to follow them. And like, we'd do the event right before Q School in Palm Springs. And, you'd follow them. And it's interesting because you can see, okay, I don't know why that person's still playing, in competitive golf, because I've watched them for 4 years and, they haven't gone anywhere. But then you see somebody like the girl that just won yesterday, you're going to see her name on tour and in a couple of years, she's been at it for a while and playing some pretty good golf, played good golf when I was down there a couple of years ago. But they're all getting on, a lot of them are getting on the Symetra Tour. I go down the Symetra Tour list each tournament and, okay, there's names I recognize. I don't recognize all of them, but a lot, and try to follow their careers, which is fun.
Yeah, there's a couple of New Zealanders and Aussies on there that I've seen and just see how they go and whether they're going to get on the LPGA Big Tour or not.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
So you run an online, and this is how we. Well, it's this is kind of how we met. Obviously, I started doing the podcast last year, and it popped up on your screen, and you started interacting with us about about. I think this was the best thing for me, was I would ask the rules question of the week, and not only would you come back and be the fastest one to answer it, but you would also say, "This happened to me. This happened 5 years ago. This one happened 3 months ago. This one happened yesterday." I loved it. I was like, every rules question I came up with, you always had a situation that had actually happened to you, which I loved. So
yeah, I was gonna comment about your match play one, because there's this one that just happened, because that exact thing has happened also. So yeah, it's
see that one's never happened. I've never seen that happen, where someone's teed off outside the teeing area and then they had to either put another ball into play or play a provisional. I've never seen that happen. So
it actually happened. It actually happened in an event. I had finished playing in the event, and it was a team thing with 4 different clubs playing matches. And one of our players, and I had the rule book, but I hadn't become a referee yet. Okay, so I was still reading, and it actually happened on the 18th hole, and the match was all tied up on the 18th, and the one guy hit. I was the captain on the team, so I could talk to the players too when I was done. But the home club player hit it out of bounds from the wrong teeing area. We were playing a 9-hole course and different tee each time, and he hit it out of bounds. He hit it out of bounds, and our player looked and says, "What do I do? Can I recall that? I mean, he's played it from the wrong tee, but he put it out of bounds." And I got my book out and looked real quick through the book. It says, "Just let it be. You're going to win."
Yeah.
And he won the match on the 18th hole. So
oh wow,
that happened. Yeah.
With a 9-hole. See, I can get that. See, when this kind of thing for a person to play from outside the wrong teeing area, outside the teeing area, I always think, oh, they started the round and they played off the blues instead of the whites, or the whites instead of the blues, or the reds instead of the yellows, whatever it is. But I didn't think about 9-hole course where you got 2 teeing areas.
Yeah. So that one happened also. But
well, I look forward to keep pumping out these questions to see if you've experienced them. But so getting into that, you over winter now, when you're in Florida as well, you run this rules podcast just amongst your compatriots from around Canada, or specifically around Ottawa?
Well, I started out with just our own people in the Ottawa area, where I just wanted to help people try to get recertified. So I'd run a session. I started doing a GoToMeeting session. Now I'm using Zoom like this, but I guess 7 or 8 years ago, I decided, well, let's try it and see if we could work it. So I set it up and I ran it every week with them, I'd go on the RNA, the USGA, Lou Blakey's got 1,000 questions on there, and I'd get questions, and
generalarea.org. Yep.
yeah, generalarea.org. And what I'd do is put the questions up and have an answer, and it was good for me because I'd have to go in and reference where everything was, where all the answers were. So it was a lot of prep work, which I didn't mind because winters here can be pretty boring. So, you know, unless you ski, but so I started doing those, and we needed to get new referees in too. So I started a second one up for competitors that wanted to learn a little bit about the rules. I sent something out to a bunch of clubs, and I'd get, you know, in ours, I'd have 9 or 10 people in. And then I started the other one up where I had people that were interested in the rules that maybe wanted to get started. And what I did there is I never got into a rule number. Okay. It's just, okay, if you're going to take relief from a cart path or you're going to take an unplayable, I didn't go into rule numbers with them, just kept it very basic, had some pictures, got into some little videos online also, but helped them out to learn. And we got some referees out of that. And we went from having 10 or 12 referees in our area where right now we're over 30. And so a lot of people have come on. I'm not pushing to get more right now.
I was gonna say, is it invitation only, or
yeah,
is it open to the whole
for
of Canada?
For my sessions, the regular ones with our people, it has grown where I've got people from all over Ontario.
That's awesome.
Golf Quebec now, they want me to get some of their people involved in it, the English speaking people. I've had a couple of people from the States in, you know, I've had Fraser on, and you came on the one day to chat a little. And with those sessions, I've gone away from doing just straight questions. Okay, where I'll be honest, I steal a lot of stuff from your website. No, from your, no, the situations, and you have great videos on there. And
You're more than welcome to.
I get stuff from what's happened on TV on a tournament, and I've gone to, we've spent half an hour discussing stuff. You remember the one with Jordan Spieth with the dropping on the cart path and the puddles.
Wow.
You know, we probably spent 45 minutes going over that one on one session, you know, as to why he did this and why he did that. And the one where he was over, what was it, over in Europe, I guess, British Open, was it, when he had the one over in the driving range, you know, things like that. We'll discuss them because these things, you know, they're real situations. I go on a lot of forums, but I've gotten to where I don't enjoy a lot of them because it's so many hypotheticals. And when I teach something, I tell the people, I've had this situation, and the question of the week is a situation that I had. Okay, so to some point it's a little different. The result was different, but I just like real stuff. And why throw stuff out that is never ever gonna happen? But so I get people from all over, and if anybody wants to, you know, all they got to do is message me or whatever, and I'll make sure they get a link. And you know, last year I had, I think, around 20 people pretty well every session. You know, you came on the one night. If I can get the odd guest on, it would be great. I'll try to get Fraz on one night, but you know, this coming year, and go over, let him push his great spreadsheets that he's got. They're good. And it's just something I have fun with, and I'll be starting it up again in a few weeks, as we get the cooler weather coming in here, and people seem to enjoy it. I keep it to an hour and a half max. I cut it right off at the hour and a half. I found initially I was going 2 hours, which was way too long, and an hour's sometimes too short to go over a Jordan Spieth or a Patrick Reed scenario.
That's a great point. I find about 75 minutes for
Yeah.
a rules workshop works pretty well.
Oh yeah, that's
I
good.
would absolutely love to come back on if you want me.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
for sure.
found Gerry when I came on your meeting. You welcomed me on, and it was great to have me. And I told my story about events that I'd done, but I was looking around the people that were there, and they were intently listening to me. But I was thinking, I might have done a couple of events. These people in front of me have done just as many events, if not more, have got just as much as experience, and just it was amazing to sort of be part of. We've all had different experience, different ways of going about it. We all know the rules, and then it's just about how you apply it to the players when you're out on the golf course.
Yeah, we're lucky in the Ottawa area here that we have a lot of very, very high qualified referees. I mean, some that have done Golf Canada events all across the country, done some, a couple of them have done US Women's Open. They've been over to the R&A for their TARS course. I mean, they're very experienced, and I keep learning from them too. And it's a nonstop learning thing. You get some people, well, geez, I went out there and I didn't do any rulings today, or all I did was spot balls, and then this, or time players. And, it's awful boring, and I don't want to do this. Well, when you're up, like I'm up early this morning, I mean, that's nothing. If I'm doing a tournament, I'm at the golf course by 6:30 in the morning, and I don't get home till dark. You get a suspension of play, which we had at one of our events this year, that, I was there at the course at 6:15 in the morning. I got home, it was like, 9 o'clock at night when I got back to the hotel. And, I don't know, it's just something you've got to have in you. But some people don't want to do it. I have some people that'll come on my webinars, and they're on there, and I see their name drop off after 45 minutes or so, and I see them on there at the start, and I say, okay, they won't be there at the end, but that's their choice. And
they wanted to come on just to ask a question, and then they got their answer.
Yeah, probably, but that's fine. And I have no problem with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But people don't have the passion like we do for the rules.
The obsession of knowing it, but for a game that we absolutely love. So I was going to mention, you did mention it before about Golf Canada and getting up to level 4, and then you just mentioned sort of the TARS. Golf Canada's for a long time has had a very good education program. Obviously the level 1 is very similar to the beginner or level 1 that R&A USGA have at the moment. Then your level 2 still very similar, but you had a level 4 or went up to a level 4. Was that part of it? Was that actual learning how to be a referee?
No, that was before. I think the R&A had 4 levels at one point. So we went the same way. And then when was it? When the new rules came in, I guess they went to 3 levels. So we're down to 3 levels now again.
See, I've only ever known the R&A to have 3, but now as of no, I could be wrong, Gerry. But as of end of last year, they talked about having, or start of this year, they talked about introducing a level 4. But I've always thought that Golf Canada had 4 levels, and
We
the
did,
RNA
but
only ever had 3.
yeah, no, I think they had the 4 because we followed right along with, we follow the RNA system. And
Right.
I know I'd read where the RNA was going to bring one in and
Yeah.
is to teaching you more how to be a referee.
Referee.
And that's really, really needed. I try to get our people out. In fact, after they did their exam this past year, the people that did, I taught the level 2, which is the old level 3, but I was teaching that or helping teach for Golf Ontario. And after they did their exams, which they all did online this year, I did some sessions where trying to help the people learn a little bit how to referee. So we ran some sessions like that, how to, a basic thing going out, how to set the tees properly. I mean, I go out, I love doing course setup and, doing hole locations, doing the tees and things like that. Um, marking courses. I think the RNA wanted to go that way, which I think is good. And I did a TARS. They had a TARS thing in Toronto a number of years ago, and they've had them in Vancouver. And if they get another one and going again here, it was similar. We had Grant over from the RNA, and Mark Duzbabik from the PGA Tour
Oh yeah.
was there. Big guy. It was a lot of fun.
Did he used to play NFL?
Yeah, he played for, I think it was oh God. I could see there. Green Bay, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a linebacker.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's a big man.
Big man, nice guy. But
Wears
we had a lot of
visor.
fun.
Likes wearing a visor.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun at that. But he taught us a lot of things about officiating. He talked about, doing, officiating out on tour, getting in, getting out quick.
It's interesting you talk about Mark because well, I've got a couple of videos of Mark handling a rule situation, and these guys, it's quite funny. These guys know the rules. They know the rules just as well as anybody, but they'll still use the radio, and they'll still go to the radio and ask. And it sounds like they're asking the simplest, dumbest question. And you think, oh, how's this guy asked that question? Does he not know the rules? It's just, what would you call that?
Your brain goes blank at times.
Blank or just insurance,
Yeah, and the insurance sometimes too. But I've just had you get out there and geez, let me get on the radio and just check. Oh yeah, right. That's exactly it. And you know it, but you get in that quick situation and God, I just totally drew a blank.
yeah. But it's a good point, Gerry, because it's the referee that thinks he knows everything that will make the mistake. And usually a bad mistake.
Oh yeah.
so I, we encourage people to, if a referee's going to make a mistake, it should be that you call the tournament director too many times. That would be your mistake.
Yeah.
That you should make. So, I see it, and I've had these comments. Oh, how's that referee get on the radio? Shouldn't he know that you take a drop off the cart path? Well, sometimes, sometimes cart paths are not free drops. They're integral objects, or they're in penalty areas, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's I had one, I forget what it was this year, and I told the players, I'm just coming up blank right now. I'm pretty sure this is what I've got to do. And I wanted to keep play going. And I says, look, play 2 balls here and I'll get you the they were on the 16th or 17th hole. And I says, I'll meet you at scoring and give you the answer. I know where it is. I'm just not going to take the time right now. We've got to keep you guys in, in play here. And I gave him the answer at 18, and I was right initially, but I just wanted to confirm myself, and I'd gotten on the radio, and none of us were 100% sure right at the time. So
there you go. For everyone listening out there, you've got Gerry Bower, who knew the rule about 95%, but didn't trust himself to make the final call. So in that situation, he actually knew one of the most difficult rules for an amateur golfer to know, and that's to play 2 balls, because how often does that come up? And you've actually decided to take them through that procedure and then tell them the 18th. So for everyone listening out there, you just the biggest mistake you can make is that you think you know all the rules.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. We're always learning.
We're always learning, especially on when those situations come up on the PGA Tour, and we're going, hang on, is that, that Bryson one the other day? That was amazing. Where he, where the committee knew before the 3 minutes, Bryson didn't know, the communication didn't get to him till after the 3 minutes, and because they were certain that it was stolen by a spectator, they were happy for the exception to 18.2b, I think it was, to be applied. But talking about rules, Gerry, I asked Fraser this one last week, and he had a very diplomatic answer. What would your least favorite rule be?
Oh boy, I saw your questions ahead of time, and I actually wrote stuff up, but I had a couple of them. That there's one that I really hate, is having to drop on a cart path, and then you're going to get relief from the cart path, which 99% of the players don't want to play off of if they can get a drop. And I think it just wastes a lot of time. We have up here, a Tim Hortons, which is a coffee place, okay, like a Starbucks type thing. So, and people go in and they get a double. Well, we called this, the double. Okay, you're going to drop twice on the cart path, you're going to place it, then you're going to find your relief. But I had one, I think it was either at the World Junior Girls or the Canadian Junior Girls Championship, where the area where I had a penalty area and a cart path right next to it. I must have had 20 of these drops, but I had one that was really good, and I had to get another referee to come help me because I had all 3 players in the penalty area. So I had a double and a drive back.
Oh, wow.
So that's one that I hate. I don't like that. And one that's bugged me a lot is signing the scorecards. I've had, come in, verify it if you want. And with COVID, we haven't been doing a lot of signing, and it's worked out so good that we haven't had a marker forget to sign, or a player, they're thinking, oh geez, I screwed that round up, and they forget to sign. I don't like that one, but it's in there. It's a rule. You follow the rules. And getting some consistency, and one that, some consistency in dropping. The back on line is one good example, where if you've marked a reference point and you drop, it's got to stay in that same area of the golf course that it first hits. But if you have the local rule in E12, now you drop and it rolls within a club length back into the penalty area. Now it's back in play, or you could re-drop it. But, just some consistency in there. Those are 3 that
we did talk about E12 last week, and I had one question. Someone looked at the book and they said, "Where's E12? Are you smoking crack?" And I said, "No, the published book doesn't have it. It's a clarification, and
it's in my paper."
Yeah, you'll find it online, and you'll find it in the App Store app is what I mean.
Yeah.
But you won't find it in the book. And it was a rushed one that they wrote. I don't think they actually needed it, but it'll be interesting to see in 2023 whether they do bring that in, or surely by that 4 years, most people know that you can't drop it nearer the hole, and it'll always sort of be a it'll always be a half circle rather than a full circle like E12 tries to make it.
Yeah, they'll have to do something with that one.
And this goes back to your least liked rules. You know how many, certainly a couple of those would be eliminated, but how many rules they could get rid of if they just moved to placing instead of dropping?
Yeah, I've thought of that, and a lot of people think that would be the best way. And it probably would. It would eliminate so much problem. You could get rid of a lot of stuff in there if you got your area and you place it.
I'm not an advocate for it. Like, I don't mind either way, just because I know how to drop, and I know the dropping procedure, and as do you. But if you're a beginner golfer and then suddenly you drop, and then someone says, oh, but it's rolled out there, but you've got to drop again, then to me it does sound really confusing. Now, I like the what do you call it?
Randomness.
Randomness. That's it. Thank you very much. You should be on my podcast more often. I like the randomness of the drop, but at the same time, my priority is pace of play. So I really love the idea of the place. And then you're talking about this double. If you had a place, you'd be able to skip out the middleman. You'd be able to go straight, because you'd know, okay, I'm going to place it there, so my nearest point of relief from there is there, and you wouldn't even have to drop. So yeah, I'm an advocate for both ways, just because, as I said, I know the drop, but the place would just speed up play. So I'd love to see it come that way. But the biggest risk, or the biggest annoyance there, would be, people just trying to pick their ball up. They're trying to get relief anytime they can, so that they can place it any time. And then you're moving out of bad lies into good lies, and just Patrick reading it, the whole place.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. I really like that. I think those are three really good points there, Gerry. So I'm with you on that. Do you like, this is another interesting point, and you initially spoke about how you got into the rules and that you were club captain, and that would be a really like a stepping stone for a lot of people that have gotten into rules and refereeing. Certainly my friend Stuart McPhee, that's how he got into the rules. He was club captain, and then people would just start coming to him, and he was like, oh, I better learn this, I better know something. And then it was really an interesting topic for him. But the interesting thing is, at the start you have people, and you said it, you had people who knew the rules, and then you'd read the book and you'd say, no, that's not right. And you'd have to go back to them and say, no, this is actually how it is. And what you find from that is that, people just sort of think, oh, this is the rules, and that'll be the rules forever. And they don't actually realize that they do change more often than you think. Like, I know we've had the big rule changes in 2019, but there are a lot of subtle changes, every 2 years almost, or certainly with the added decisions, but definitely every 4 years, 2014, 2000 or 16, 2012, whatever it was. So like, with all those changes, do you think that's good for the golf? I was getting to a point, Gerry. Do you think that's the involvement of golf and the rules, because rules are basically what golf is? Do you think that is for the betterment of the game?
I think they're getting to the point of being where more people, I think we've got more people in our club with them being simplified a little bit that are following more of them, like, where they allowed penalty areas to be other areas. And one of our courses, if you went 6 inches off the cut portion of the rough, you're probably not going to find your ball. And so now it's all penalty area. Now they don't have to play that provisional off the tee, or to be honest, they weren't going to go back if they went out, most of the players other than a competition. But I think a lot of the rules are for the good. I feel they're going to have to do something, because people watch what's on TV, they watch the pros. And, with COVID on, we had all the rakes out of bunkers. Okay. So we've just recently had them put back in, but people forgot how to use a rake. So the pros always have a raked bunker. They're always perfect. Their courses are perfect. Our courses are not perfect. I could take some pictures and show you pictures of divots and bunkers that are terrible. And we've been playing preferred lie in the bunker just because of that. And they'll groom them in the morning, but by 10 o'clock, they're junk again. And no blame on the club. It's just that players aren't doing it. Divots aren't being filled. Ball marks aren't being, repaired. And, we've got a lot of new golfers, and the new golfers, they don't know, they're not taught etiquette or anything. They just, oh, geez, Fred and George are going out, I'm going to join them, and away we go. And we'll hack the ball around like I'm doing now, but I replaced my divots anyway. And so, a lot of things changed with COVID, but they watch the pros and they say, well, they got a perfect bunker all the time. And they do. And I think some things have got to change that way for amateur golf over professional golf. But I don't know. But I think the rules are getting better. Friend of mine and myself, we were talking last night that there's still a number of things like this cart path drop. There's a number of things where we got to simplify it even more yet.
Would you, talking about a perfect bunker, would you, if someone went into a bunker, would you allow them to mark their ball, rake the bunker, and then replace the ball?
That's another way.
Or just place their ball in the nicest place possible.
We were allowing them to place it in a spot within a club length, as long as it stayed in the bunker. Yeah, had to be within the bunker, and not closer to the hole. And that worked out good. I mean, we were doing that in our local competitions now for 2 years, and the players were not complaining because they were getting a little better lie. We have some clubs that they've put a illegal local rule in where you can rake the bunker and place it. And I guess I'd have no problem with that if it came out that way, because then you're at least guaranteed something, a decent lie.
Yeah, but that's a really interesting one.
The point where
traditionalists would absolutely,
they'll destroy me.
That's right.
They'll destroy me. But the other problem
wrong with that.
No, but the problem with it too is if you get an embedded ball in the bunker and you're playing that rule, some people got the advantage of being able to move at the club length. And we had a couple of complaints about that. Well, his ball was embedded right up under in the bunker, under the lip of the bunker, and he got to place it. I said, well, he got a big advantage, when, your ball hit the tree and went out of bounds, you got a bad advantage. So, I mean, it's the way golf is. You got to take the good with the bad at times.
I guess if we allow the placing in the bunker to come in as a full-time rule, then people would certainly cry out for allowing placing out of a divot and stuff
Divots
like that. So you're certainly
yeah.
opening up a can of worms. Now, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. I just play the rules as they are. I go the other way just for personal preference. I would prefer that you just play the ball as it is, and there's no free relief. But if I saw those changes that we're just talking about, I probably wouldn't be too worried either, as long as everyone's doing the same thing. It's just so hard because perfect golf, or I just go back to golf shouldn't be perfect, or it's not fair. It shouldn't be fair. It is what it is. But you're dead right. People see perfect fairways, perfect greens on the tour. They see Instagram posts of perfect fairways and perfect greens, and they just expect that every time they play golf. And it's for 99% of the population and golf courses, that's just not the truth.
Yeah. No, and the only reason, is that they'd taken all the rakes out with COVID, and you had to do something.
Yeah.
And now we've got to educate people to rake bunkers again.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with playing the ball as it lies in a bunker. I mean, I think you should, but the way they are right now, I could take you out to our course. I mean, if they'd rake the bunkers, if they'd done the grooming of the bunkers this morning, by noon, you wouldn't want to play out of some of them because people aren't raking them back. So
that's not great. That is not great.
No.
Well, no, that's it'll be interesting to see, and certainly in 2023, which direction they head. So that's been a fair good chat, Gerry. Thank you very much for coming on. But just before you leave, could you please read out episode 49 GRQOTW?
Okay, I wrote it down because I emailed it to you. And this is a situation that did actually happen, and hopefully people can picture the hole. So I got Fraz, Blakey, and Roscoe are playing the tough 17th hole with a hill on the right that is general area. And below the hill is a small penalty area that isn't seen from the tee. Roscoe hits his tee shot down the middle, and both Fraz and Blakey push their tee shots to the right. They go down and look around the area, and Blakey finds his ball in the penalty area, but Fraz can't find his, so says it must be in the penalty area. They both take penalty area relief, but Blakey and Roscoe aren't happy with Fraz, also dropping as he didn't find his ball. They finish the round, and Blakey asks for a referee. How would you rule?
Oh, that's so tough. Right, I look forward to everyone's response for that. That's a great question, Gerry.
And this happened. This actually did happen, and except for the way the result ended up.
I've had that one happen as well. The weird thing about that, and I'm not trying to give any hints or tips here, but why didn't the players take it up? And you like, this has happened. So you're asking the question after it, and you go, why didn't you talk to the person at the time? If you had some issue, why didn't you say, we have some issue with the procedure that you're going with, instead of especially wait till the next hole, or wait till after when you're handing in scorecards. Like, that always blew my mind. I was like, why, if you're not happy with something, bring it up then and there.
Yeah, I agree. And these guys, when this happened, they actually did get into a pretty good discussion at the time.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, but they in the real situation, but they were all mad at me.
Oh, wow. Of course, they question it, but then when you don't give a favorable ruling to the person in the group, they want to have a go at you instead of.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it
it
happens though.
was
That's
it
what.
was
That's why.
pretty heated discussion.
That's why you got to have thick skin as a referee.
You got that right.
Now, I just before I go, I just remembered I had an Ivor from last week, and I keep making this mistake because old habits die hard. I continue to say that if you're not happy in match play, you have to make a claim, but it's not have to make a claim. It's, what is it, Gerry?
Ask for a ruling.
Yeah, request a ruling or whatever it is. I don't think I'll get used to that. But one of my good friends, David Grieve, picked me up on that one, and I think you've picked me up on that before. I just can't get my head around it. Make a claim is burned into my memory, but
I know
that's so good.
it's like tied matches and all square.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dormy, they got rid of Dormy.
Dormy,
as well, so.
yeah.
I mean, that was the awesome thing of, I mean, I love, as I've mentioned on this podcast 100 times, I love match play more. And, you know, we don't have match play enough. And so to have Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup within a month of each other, it was fantastic. And then you're talking about, you know, the differences of referees, how, you know, a roving referee can't just get involved, and an assigned referee has to make the call. You know, they take in all the facts, but they're the one that has to make the call.
Yeah, I officiated the Ontario men's match play championship and was the referee for the final men's match. And you know, it's different when you're out there as just watching. You watch people. Oh, you can't drop there. I can't go over there. You know, dropping in the wrong place or wrong and doing things, and yeah, it's interesting. I love match play because but I had one incident happen at the match play in the finals, about 2 holes from the finish. I was off in the trees and actually got nailed in the head by a golf ball. So
oh wow.
So the hazards of refereeing sometimes. That was in the woods, but the funny thing was they couldn't see me. I couldn't see them on the tee of an elevated tee. And I watched the pictures from the Golf Ontario website later, and I recognized the player on the 12th tee because it's way elevated. And as soon as he hit the ball, out goes his arm out to the right, but nobody could see him. There was nobody there to see it, to see him do it. But I saw it in the picture later. So but luckily I was okay. So didn't have a headache or anything out of it. But thick-headed referee.
The hazards of the job.
Well, yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on, Gerry. It's fantastic to have you as my second guest. And, you know, I probably could have asked you and talked to you for a lot longer, but we better wrap it up there. And this just gives me good reason to get you on again. So look forward to the rest of your day, and thank you very much.
Yeah, it was fun, and hopefully I'll get back on sometime again. You have a good day. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. Thank you very much, Gerry.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.